I think it's a blend of unfortunate circumstances that, and I can only take credit for my own drawbacks or shortcomings. And my shortcoming is the fact that I want to keep the peace and diffuse situations and make sure that everyone's okay. If you cut your finger off, I want to make sure you get to the right person. If you start having seizures in the car, I want to make sure that I'm holding your hand, that you're okay. If you are, anyway, I'm giving examples of those are things that happened to my dad. So I came into an adult relationship as a injured child, let's say mentally impaired, emotionally impaired, wanting to just find some sort of place to rest. I moved 4 times between my junior and senior year. I lived in my own apartment when I was a senior in high school, and stole food for dinner, lunch, and breakfast. I drank beer for many of those meals too, but that's another subject. I just wanted a place to rest. I was fucking tired. And I let a lot of things slide. And I'm not saying that I'm at fault for any of it. I'm not, but I wasn't strong enough to fight against it. And I know that now. I know that I was not given the proper tools to do that. And maybe if I were to have spoken up in some areas, things would have turned out differently. Maybe not. But a very recent discovery on my part, which is where I discovered again that my brain in traumatic situations, and this is not just mine, everyone's does this, in traumatic situations, changes the reality to make it more comfortable in the moment so you can just move forward. And so the other day, all of our the children's passports showed up, and I laid them out on the table because I wanted to take a picture of them and send them along, just to send them along so he knew that they were here. And looking at the children's names, and none of them, not one, reflects any part of me, any of my history, any of my family. And that struck a chord in me because at the time I was okay with it. Whatever you want to do, it's perfect, it's fine. I'm okay with it. And then I suddenly had this flashback to the day my father was buried. And he has a headstone down in Massachusetts, and he's buried next to his first wife. And on the back of the headstone, it reads, parents of 4 children. And those 4 children are his first 4 children. And my brother and I were not written on that headstone. And so looking back on the fact that I, and I'm going to be pretty dramatic about this, but the fact that I was erased from, I've never seen a headstone that says parents of and the kids are named. I've never seen that before. And to see that, and to see a very obvious omission, my brother and I are not on there. And there's no one who's going to advocate for us, as also children of this man. That destroyed me in the moment. It destroyed my brother. It destroyed him as well. And then to look at how I allowed it to happen again. I had zero influence on the headstone. Zero. I had influence on the children's names, and I let it happen. And so I stand here now talking to you about self-value as someone who has allowed power to be stripped completely until a certain point in my life where I took it back. So I'm going to leave it there because I would need another hour to speak upon how I gained it back. And that could be another podcast. But I apologize. Sometimes I feel like I leave you hanging because I haven't finished my thoughts, but sometimes I just get so weary of what I'm talking about that I have to just bail. So I'm going to tell you I'm going to say thank you for listening and stay tuned for episode 10, coming up hopefully in less than a week. All right. Good night.